Hey guys, Mix here, and as you guys could tell, in today's video we are finally back with the half-scale NASCAR. All of you guys have been asking for videos with this, and it is finally back. So as you guys know, if you guys watch some of my past videos, I've been telling you guys that I've been having an issue with both the NASCAR and the Supermoto pit bike build, and I'm going to go into explanation with the pit bike in a different video, but with the NASCAR I'll tell you guys right now. So as you guys know, this is one of the newer toys that I've purchased, and it doesn't have brakes. So I've never taken this thing on a ride yet, or a drive, I guess I could say now, because I don't want to drive it when it doesn't have brakes. So what I went ahead and did off camera a couple weeks ago is to bleed the brakes like I normally would, and the brake bleeders are 11 millimeters. And I didn't have an 11 millimeter wrench, so what I did is I used needle nose pliers. And this was a huge lesson that I learned, because then we would have had more videos with this thing if I hadn't used those. So what happens over time is the bleeders began to strip and everything and round out, and one side of it is fine. The side that's in right now, even though it is stripped, it is in farther enough that air will not get out. But this side, I wasn't able to tighten it, and it was kind of stuck in there, and air was getting into the lines and everything. It was a whole big mess, and I couldn't get it out. So I was stuck with that, with air in the lines, only on one side, which still wouldn't make the brakes work. So I tried everything to get it out. I drilled that thing. I used bolt extractors to try and get it out, but nothing would work up until yesterday. So I posted on Instagram, yesterday I think, and I showed you guys the problem that I was having with the brakes. And as you guys can tell from that picture, it was completely shot. And what I went ahead and did is bought a super powerful wireless impact, which I probably needed anyway, so I finally bought one. So this right here is the impact that I bought. I was using this with a bolt extractor, as I just said, weeks prior to yesterday when I got it out. And it wasn't working at all until I found what this does. So what this does is gives the impact like insane strength. So what I did is I cranked it all the way up to this. I put the extractor into the stripped out bleeder screw, and I let this thing rip, and it finally came out. I didn't get any of it on camera, unfortunately, because honestly I didn't think it would work, but I'll show you guys what's left of that bleeder screw. So here it is. This once used to be a bleeder screw, and now this is what we got. But at least it came out, which I'm super happy about. So what I did immediately after I got that out is went to AutoZone and got a brand new brake bleeder. So what we're going to be doing today is putting that back on, tightening back up the brakes, because I did go ahead and pull off the side caliper. These nuts are just, hand tightened. Hook up the brake lines and hopefully get the brakes going today, which will allow us to finally take this thing on a drive. And I also have some big plans coming for this thing soon, especially for this body. Oop, I can't show you guys that. Not yet. So guys, that's enough of talking. Let's get straight into the working so we can get this thing back up and driving. So what I'm going to do first is hook back up the brake lines. I already have the fuel cell removed, so I have enough room to work in here. I did record all of that, but unfortunately I lost all the footage. But it wasn't anything big, it was just, me taking off the fuel cell, as I just said. But anyway, let's hook up the brake lines and then get to installing that new brake bleeder. We'll tighten everything up. And I also bought a one-man brake bleeder. Usually I'm just used to just cracking the bleeder and everything like that, but hopefully this one-man bleeder will work pretty well and make it way easier. So we'll just see what happens. Now it is time for the new brake bleeder. So the brakes are all back on, nice and tight. The new brake bleeder fits nicely. And now this is the one-man brake bleeder I bought. So I'm gonna crack this thing open. I watched a video on how to use it, so it seemed pretty easy. We'll just see how it works. All right, so the setup on this is pretty easy. It just says to use the magnet to make sure that it's above the bleeding screw. And I'm just gonna attach it onto here. And yeah, that's it. But what I'm gonna do before I start pumping this is take off the cap, make sure that we're good on that, because I don't want that to run too low, and then we'll have air in the system again, and then we'll pop that off, and then I'll have brake fluid ready to go. This thing takes .5 brake fluid, which I've never had any type of vehicle that's used this, so yeah, I guess it's pretty good. Okay, alright, that looks pretty full. Alright, so now that we know that it's all tight, I'm just going to hand tighten this down just so pressure doesn't build up in there and then shoot out. Now apparently, now that it's just on, we just need to crack the bleeding screw, pump it a couple times, like 4 or 5 they say, retighten it, and then they said it should be good. Alrighty, so now that that's cracked open, let's pump this. Let's see. Nothing. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Nothing. Nothing. I'll catch you guys back when we have something. So it is about 10 minutes later, and I am beginning to build pressure slowly. I'm not using my one-man brake bleeder. I can't figure it out. I'm just doing the old-fashioned pump it a couple times, hold it, crack it, close it, pump it a couple times. That over and over again, and it seems to be working better. So this line, I have pretty much all the air out of it, but this one I'm still working on. Brake pads are beginning to move, but you guys probably can't see it. But I'll catch you guys back once this thing builds a little bit more pressure. So guys, we have some really bad news. Every time this thing would try and build pressure, it would lose it. And I was looking around, and then I finally saw it. As you guys can tell, there are some wet spots down here. And whenever this thing builds pressure, there's a rip in the line and it just shoots out brake fluid like crazy. So I just cannot win with these brakes. Right when I thought I had it too. That's a bummer. I still can't find exactly where it's coming from, but I do see it coming from the line. I'll try and hook up the camera and see if you guys can see where it's from. All right, here we go. Yeah. So as you guys just saw from that clip, it is shooting out pretty aggressively. So that really sucks. But what are you gonna do? This thing sat, probably just got a little bit rotted in the brake lines and cracked. So it looks like that I'm gonna have to order a brake line for it. Hopefully that gets here soon, and then we will continue back with this video. Alrighty guys, so we were back here a few days later and the package finally came in the mail. So we're gonna go ahead and unpackage it and see how everything looks. So it's probably nothing you know, too exciting in here. Just a brake line. I'm curious to see if it came with any fittings or anything. It didn't say if it did or not, so I'm gonna think that it wouldn't. So we'll just see what we got. Yeah, this is it. Alright, so here is our new brake line up close. Nothing too special. Looks pretty much exactly the same as the old one. This is 10 feet right here. I probably only need about 7 feet, but it's good to have extra, obviously, just in case I, you know, mess something up. But what I need to do right now is try and transfer over the old fitting onto the new one. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get this little piece on here that keeps this fitting back, but we will just see what I can do. So I have the entire line completely off the cart, and I was actually able to get this little fitting piece off of the hose just by, you know, pulling it off as hard as I can. So I'm going to try the same for this. I was trying that before, but it wasn't working, but I'll just try it again because I know that it will come off now. So I just got one piece on, all good to go, I think. I'm not sure if I put this on the right way, but I just used a little bit of heat. Made sure not to do it too hot that I'll melt the cable. Really hoping that I didn't like pinch inside with the heat. I dumped it in a thing of water to cool it right away so it wouldn't melt through, but I think it's all good. So what I'm going to do is hook up this end back there, and then plumb it all through, see the length of cable we have left, cut it, and then hook it up to the master cylinder. So all the line is through the cart, and as you guys can tell, we have a whole lot of line left over. So what I'm going to do is cut it as precisely as I can for it to match up right up to the master cylinder, hook up the fitting, tighten it all down, and then I guess try and re-bleed the brakes with hopefully no issues. I don't want to mess this up. Okay, I'm gonna leave a little bit of extra room and then work with what I got, because if it's too short, then I'm kind of screwed. Alrighty guys, so finally I have the entire brake line on. I was having an issue with the front leaking from the fitting, but I finally got it all down. And I just pumped the brake a couple times, and as you can see, fluid is flowing through. So now what I'm gonna do is peek over here while pushing it, and I see fluid beginning to make its way into the caliper itself. So what I'm gonna do now is repeat the whole process, just with one side though, because the other side doesn't have any air in it. So what I'm gonna do is bleed it, over and over again until I could build pressure, and hopefully we won't run into a problem anymore. So guys, finally, after pumping the brakes a whole ton of times, we have pressure, and I believe the brakes are working. I see the pads closing nice and tight. So what I'm going to do right now is hook everything back up, like the fuel cell, clean it all up in here, tidy up all the brake lines by zip tying them to the frame. Then I just want to take this thing for a little cruise, see how it stops, and see if the brakes will hold up, hopefully with no leakage at all. So I kind of had the fuel cell rigged up. I have one bolt here and one bolt here for the brackets, but I cannot get the thing wrapped around all the way, and I'm kind of racing for daylight right now because it is beginning to get dark out. So I just zip tied it for now, and this thing's, you know, perfectly fine for testing purposes. So I'm just gonna clean it out real quick, hop in it, start it up for the first time in a while, and test out these brakes. I just cleaned up inside a little bit. I also added up the tires, so now we're good to go to test this thing out. It's been so long since I've sat in this and started it, and this is my first time driving it, as you guys know, with brakes. So I don't know what to expect from these brakes. I mean, they seem pretty good. Oh, man, it's been a while. Alrighty guys, here we go. Fired right up. Alright, so I just turned off the choke. It's running good. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit, and then we'll just take it for a little stroll around the yard. I hope I don't bottom out a lot because this thing is insanely low, as you guys know. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go, test. Alright, it stops. Might need to be, you know, used a little bit to gain more pressure, but it stopped. Let's try it again. Alright, it stops. So the brakes do work. They might need to be used a little bit more to build up some pressure, but they work. So I probably just got to pump it up a little bit more, and then it'll build more pressure as it goes. So I just went ahead and pumped them up a little bit more, and now the pressure's really good. So I do want to go ahead and take it back out. Oh yeah, oh yeah. The tires locked up now. Here we go. Woo! Wow, those are good brakes. Woo! They're good. Woo! Woo! Oh yeah. Way better. So guys, the brakes are super good. They lock up the whole rear axle, so that is awesome. So now that we can finally drive this thing around without me needing to worry about crashing it, I have some awesome stuff coming for this thing. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting to see videos with this, along with the pit bike. Both of these videos are coming, and they're gonna be coming in hot. These are gonna be awesome videos. But anyway guys, I'm gonna be ending the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said before, stay tuned for awesome content coming soon. And thank you guys so much for 30,000 subscribers. It's just insane. I never thought that I'd get that much. I'm like speechless. I'm always speechless whenever you hit a new milestone, because I just can't believe like how much we've grown. I never would have thought that I just would have gotten this far. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends about the channel.